so excited to share with you all another amazing journey and purpose story. Today, I want to give a warm welcome to Becky, and we are going to hear her story unfold. I have not heard it, and you haven't heard it, so let's dive in together. So, the quick, simple question I'm going to ask you is, Becky, where are you from? You can say where you're from, where you are in the world, where you currently are.
So I live in Virginia, on the East Coast, but that's not where I was brought up. I lived in Indiana for many, many years and moved to Florida, met a military man, got married, got stationed several different places, got divorced, ended up in Virginia. And I was like, this is the only place my kids know. I'm not moving. So here I am.
Awesome. Okay. And we get to find out who you are today at the end of your purpose story. So I want to ask you to take a moment and just think about that first aha moment, the first day, which I like to call our purpose day, when you get clear on your purpose. And even if you weren't clear that that was the day now, you can kind of look back and see. So please share with us your purpose story. The floor is yours.
Well, alrighty. My aha moment came back in 2018. And you know how some people say they went through trials and tribulations and they came out better on the end, and that was totally true of my story. And what somebody planned for bad for me ended up propelling me forward to create and start my own business. I had never planned on having a business. I've always worked for other people my whole life. And got into a group where I was the only female, and I was very excited because I had broken that glass ceiling of about 50 years of tradition of men only. And then they set me up. Every single time I was in front of their group, they set me up to fail. And I realized one day that's not where I want to be. And I had already achieved breaking the glass ceiling by getting into the group, and kind of decided, you know what, I don't need them, and I don't need this negativity, and I don't like the way they're treating me. So that propelled me to start my own business and do my own thing in my local area.
Wow.
Can go into more detail if you want, but that's the
Absolutely.
short
Yeah.
version.
Take us through the moments where, like that day that you had that realization of just, hey, this is not for me. I could do better. Because there's a lot of women that are in your position that need to hear that story.
So the third time that I got set up and failed in front of a room full of people, I went home and cried, of course. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, wait a minute. I have all the tools that I need to start my own business. I have my business license. I had my business name. I had my business insurance. I had everything. A website. I had it all because they required it of me to help them with their community. And I just was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely nuts, Becky. You have everything you need to do this on your own. Now, I will say my husband was not a big supporter of what I was doing. He is now, but back then that was 2018. So my business was in effect about a year and a few months before COVID hit, and my business is an in-person kind of thing most of the time. So it was very exciting for me to get started on my own. I met with a mentor. I don't know if other states have this organization, but in Virginia anyway, it's called SCORE. So it's part of the Small Business Administration, and it's all free. And so I hired a mentor. He told me some other things he thought I should do as a business owner, did all that. I was set to go. All I needed was some customers and some clients. So of course, I started with my family and friends, and, built it up over the years. And now I have people in my local community who are now going, I didn't know you existed. And I just laugh because I'm like, it's funny because you're like, how much advertising can I do? Because you feel like everybody knows who you are. Now they're getting to the place where I'm with my my local chamber of commerce. I'm on the board, and I chose to do that on purpose to help other people, and for them to see me and realize who I am. And so I was going to meetings with them for about a year, and now when I go, everybody goes, oh, I know you and I know what you do. And I'm like, yep, because I'm the only one in my area that does what I do. So it's been a wild ride. I will say that I kind of got out of the box a little bit. And 2 years ago, I collaborated in a book that became a #1 national bestseller internationally. And then I wrote in a second book that did the same thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love writing. I would have never done that on my own outside of building my website. So I, did my own website because I like computer stuff, and so was writing my blogs and was, getting very excited about that. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's, only a certain number of characters, and then I got to stop. And I was like, man, I have more to say. So started writing in some books. I've written in 4 now. Very excited about that. So now this year, my plan is to write my own. And I'm not sure if I'm going to write my story or if I'm going to do something different, but the goal is to, get my thoughts on paper or on my computer and just get them out of my head because they're still up here turning around. But that was something I never thought I would ever do, as well as starting a business. So I have had a lot of firsts in the last 5 years, and it's been great. Some people may not think that what I do is very important, but the women do. So I teach situational awareness. I teach firearm safety. I teach a little bit of jujitsu. So it's very much be aware of your surroundings, and the women want all of that. I've had some male clients as well, but the majority of the men will say, I need to send my wife to you. And I'm like, yes, you do. So it's been fun. It's really been more word of mouth for people to come to me. But when I go to meetings in my town, everybody's like, we know you and we know what you do. And they just smile. And I'm like, that is wonderful. I love it. I love walking into a room and they go, we got to be good because she's like, I'm just watching you. I watch everybody now. I'm a huge people watcher just because of what I do. I'm, really want to make sure that everybody's safe where they're at. And so it's pretty funny. Everybody has really given me a lot of positive feedback. I have had very few negative people saying things about my business or what I do or any of that. When I wrote in my first book, I surprised my husband with it. And one day he came down. I'm kind of a late night person. And he came down into the den where I was typing, and he was like very upset because I had been working late for a few weeks on something. He did not know what it was. All he knew was that I was on my laptop a lot, and I never thought to really say anything about it, right? So when the book was published, became a #1 bestseller, I ordered the book, I wrapped it up. Before I presented it to him, he was like, what are you doing and who are you talking to? And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you serious, really? So, I mean, we've been married 20 years. Come on, dude. So I handed him the book early, and he just cried. And I was like, that's what I've been working on. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just so that was pretty funny. It was like, now he finally got it because he was like, yeah, I know what you do is very important. And that was kind of about it. And now he's like telling everybody what his wife does and handing out my business cards to people. And I'm like, yeah, see, now you're there. You're finally there. It's been fun. I love it. I have no desire to stop doing what I'm doing. I don't think this is just for women in my area. I think every woman needs to know how to be safe. So I do a lot of online training too. And it's just interesting how some people will say, well, everybody's got an excuse for things, right? They'll be like, well, that's what my husband is for, or that's what my boyfriend is for, or that's, I only go out during the daytime. And I'm like, this stuff happens day, night. It doesn't matter. Young, old, doesn't matter. Male, female, does not matter. So my goal is to, share my safety information with as many people as possible. I don't have a number. I haven't come up with, 50 people a year or 200 a year. Maybe I need to come up with a number. It's just been, I want to share what I have with everyone, because especially women who are the most vulnerable population, they need to know what I have to say. And if they haven't heard it somewhere else, they need to hear it from me, because they need to be paying attention to what's going on around them, and they don't always do that.
I have so many questions for you. But so what I heard was that you were in the corporate world and you were the only woman, and you got, basically set up to fail several times. So was that the moment, the triggering moment that has led you to this safety, or was there some other story
No,
to?
that was totally it.
Okay.
I was the only female training with these men at the time.
Mhm.
And they brought in another woman after I had already been training with them, but it was like a competition to see if she could pass the mustard kind of thing. And by the third time, I thought to myself, I don't need this. I don't need this stress, and I don't need this failure, and I don't need to look like an idiot in front of a whole room full of students who know nothing, and now they think I know nothing. And I'm like, no, nope, no, we're going to do this my way. And that's when I started my own business and just went out on my own.
Mm. Without giving too much detail of the industry or whatever, can you tell us a little bit more details of like that third time, like what exactly was done and on how to set you up? Because I'm sure that there's so many women that are being set up that are not even aware that they are being used and are being set up to fail and go home and just cry every night.
Well, the second time they did something to me, I should have caught on. Think anyway, I did not catch on until the third time. So the second time, we had a PowerPoint that we were showing in the classroom, and they changed the PowerPoint and didn't tell me. And I was co-teaching with some other instructors, and they had gotten together and changed it and didn't tell me. And I just froze when the slides came up and they were not the information that I had studied and that I knew. I didn't know what to do. And so I'm just reading off the screen like I didn't know anything. And I was like, the third time, there's actually a piece of equipment that we use in the classroom when we're talking about firearm safety. And it has coils wrapped around it, and they wrapped it up in a Kleenex. And then they wanted me to demonstrate how to use it. So you can just imagine a piece of metal that has all these Kleenex pieces wrapped all around it now, and I'm supposed to take it apart and clean something in the middle of the classroom full of people. And
Mhm.
I thought to myself, and I just, now that I look back on it, I I just told the students, this is not the correct thing to use for this, because it's got all these fibers on it. We can't use this anymore. And I just pivoted to something else. And I would still do that now. I think I would do it a little quicker. It caught me off guard. And by the third time, I was like, this is insane. I'm done. It's just not worth it. When you know somebody is purposefully blocking you from achieving your best, in my opinion, for me, it was not worth it to keep going back into that same group with those same people who did not want me to succeed. And I thought, I don't need this. I don't need the stress, and I don't need to go home and cry every night. This is ridiculous. So I just got myself together and made my own business and did my own thing. I don't know that that's for everybody, but it certainly worked for me. And I am so happy that I did it.
Yes, and this might sound crazy, but it's good that all those things happened to you, because now look who you are, and also you can share all those experiences, because there are so many women that are stuck in that position, being constantly belittled or, set up for failure, and they're just stuck in it. They don't even, maybe they're not aware of it, or they just feel like, okay, this is in my job description. I just have to put up with it. Or there's so many reasons, self-worth or self-value. So you valued yourself enough to say, hey, and stand up and say, hey, I can do this on my own, and I can bring this, safety and information to women on my own. And now you're doing that. So
Yep.
that is beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit about what, yeah, I've heard like that you're teaching safety, you're in the, Chamber of Commerce. Who are you today, Becky? What is your snapshot of who you
Oh, I am a woman who is teaching other women how to defend themselves. So my books in my mind come secondary. I've always taught. My full-time job, I still work for a government contractor, and I still do a lot of teaching. I love teaching people, so that was easy. The topic for me, I was never interested in this kind of stuff until about 8 years ago. And my daughter was in college and she was taking a class for criminal justice. And we went to our local police station. They had a free class for citizens. And I was hooked. And I was like, man, if I were 20 years younger, I'd be able to apply. And she was just like, really? Yes, yes, yep. And then several friends had things happen to them, and they were either attacked or stalked or drugged. And I'm just like, everybody needs to know this stuff now. I am like on fire for every woman I meet. I go to all kinds of different meetings. I have people calling me to come to meetings to speak to them. So when I retire from my full-time job, which will be hopefully in the next few years, I will do this 100% full-time. That's going to be my life passion, is to get my information out there so everybody knows some things to look out for. Another thing I will say, that in the second book that I collaborated with, the book that I read and wrote about was called Do It Afraid by Joyce Meyer. I highly recommend everybody to go get that book and read it, because her story was pretty much what I did, right? I felt, betrayed. I felt like I was being pushed down and not able to excel at what I was doing. And I went out on my own, started my business, and did my own thing. It didn't cost a lot of money to get it all set up and going. So it's not like you need to, have $5,000, because I don't have a storefront. I rent space at a local chamber when I do my classes. And even in the beginning, I wasn't even doing that in person. I was doing a lot of it online, because of COVID. So don't think that it takes a lot of money to get started on some things. It doesn't, at least not for me, it didn't. And I would have rather started the business and have it maybe not, be the best at the very beginning, than never have tried at all. So do it afraid is totally my motto. Get out there and try it. If you feel like you're in a job and you're not valued, go to your supervisor, your boss, and ask them, what can I do to get to that next level? What is the goal that I need to meet to get to that next level? And just keep working those questions into your job description, or the current job, or a new job that you want. Because I find sometimes if you just ask the question, what can I do to reach a higher level or to be better at my job, they'll tell you. But if you never ask, sometimes the supervisors don't think to tell you. They're not proactive all the time, right? They're not coming to you ahead of time and saying, well, if you do this, you might be in line for another promotion. That's never happened to me. But now when I look back, I'm like, you've got to go to them and say, either I don't like what's happening to me. I, want to know what I can do better. I try very hard not to put a negative spin on things, because I think, of course, that turns people off. And then, people don't want to help you succeed sometimes. So I try to turn everything around and put a positive light on everything I do. All the questions that I ask, it's not about me, it's about you. What can I do to help you? That's my philosophy. I know what I'm doing, but what can I do to help you? Um, I would certainly sit down with management and talk to them about whatever issue that you have as a woman, because I think they will listen, especially in this culture. They will listen to you if you are serious about it. If you're just, saying things in passing and walking through the hall and grumbling, they're not going to listen to you. But if you say, look, I really want to talk to you on Monday at 9 o'clock, can we sit down and talk? At least for me at my full-time job, my supervisor is 30 years younger than me, and he is the nicest man. And I will say, we need to talk about something. And he goes, yes, ma'am. And we go have a meeting. And he's like, you know what? This is what I want my employees to do. I want you to come to me if you have questions or if you have suggestions, because he wants to help us succeed. He doesn't want us to fail. And I do think there are a lot of managers and supervisors out there that feel that way, but they may not know how to get that across, or they may not know how to help you excel, but they need to go to their management and figure it out, because there is always a way you can go be better and get higher and get more money and get a promotion. And, unless you're the boss of the company, there's always a way you can get something higher than that. And if you don't know what it is, you need to go ask them, because they know. And if they don't know, they can find out.
I couldn't agree more. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years and hired hundreds of people. And what I heard from you was taking initiative. So if someone takes initiative and they know their value and they prove their value, there's no question that they can get a raise. But if someone is just, like you said, grumbling in the hall, oh, this person makes more money than me, who's going to give them more money? They haven't shown any reason of why they should get the money. They just feel entitled because someone else is proving their value and getting more than them. And so that is the opposite mindset. But like what you said is, how can I serve? How can I serve to help this company to be better, to do better, so that I deserve to get more? If we come in thinking that we are entitled and that just because we're a woman or just because we have this degree or this experience that we're entitled to get that, but we don't actually show it, then what employer is going to want to respect that and honor that and reward that? So I really love all the tips that you've given, and it is very insightful for women in the working atmosphere, especially when they're surrounded by men, is to see your value and to know your value and to be humble and say, hey, how can I serve? How can I help your company, our company, do better and make it a win-win for everyone? So really beautiful. I love what you're sharing, and yeah, bringing the awareness to women to just be safe and to be aware that there is things that can happen at any time. So having some self-defense and some awareness on how to protect ourselves is very crucial in this world. And like you said, it doesn't matter the age, the gender, there's safety requirements are really great for us all to learn. So how can we find you? I will
Well,
definitely,
I have two
I'll put,
websites, but the main one that I use is the forwardsafetytraining.com. I started a new group called the Stronger Together Tribe. That is .org. And that one is basically a community of women where we get together and talk about all women's issues. It has nothing to do with the safety stuff. It's just a different group. But either one of those, you can certainly find me. The Forward Safety Training has all the safety classes and all that information. The Stronger Together Tribe has all the women's group issues that we talk about a lot across the board.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and it's a beautiful purpose and passion that you have to bring awareness and safety to women. And so I just want to celebrate that, and I'm excited to see what else you create and how many women. And yes, I definitely encourage you to set a huge number. I told you my number, so setting a huge number, because if we have a target, we can only go towards it. So yeah, I just want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your purpose. And I'm sure that you've inspired other women to hit that glass ceiling and to uh, ask for their worth and to take initiative. So thank you so much, Becky.
Thank you for having me.